Shalom everyone. So I'm about to read the next chapter from the book I Am N by the Voice of the Martyrs. This chapter is called Courage to Seek the Truth, and it's about Amal from Israel. When Amal, a teenage Israeli Arab, returned home from school one day, she smelled something burning. Her mother had set her favorite book, her Bible, on fire. Again. 9 times during a span of 3 years, her mother had burned her Bible to dissuade her from clinging to her Christian faith. This was among the milder reactions she would receive from her parents and siblings in a community in which Jesus' followers often met intense resistance, including bodily harm, from their families. Amal heard about Jesus when she was 13. She was struggling to find her way and was questioning the status quo. I started to get real lost, and I reached a junction, she said later. Which path will lead me to the truth, Islam or Christianity? Upon hearing of Amal's interest in Christianity, a high school teacher warned her to stay away from it because she could be killed. Okay, God, she prayed one night, I want to ask you if you are the God of Islam. Just tell me that you are, and I will wear the hijab and do all the prayers that you want. But if you are the God of Christians, even if this will lead me to be killed, I will still believe in you. Then Amal dreamed about her search for life's answers. In my dream, I woke up. There was so much light I couldn't look at it. She remembered. The light, who I later realized was Jesus, told me to start walking. Every time I fell, he would grab my hand, pull me up, and continue walking. We reached an oasis. He asked me to grab a book out of the water. He said, the answers you are looking for is inside that book. I read the verse where it says, I'm the way and the truth and the life. Fully awake now, she wondered, where did that verse come from? The Quran? The Bible? Somewhere else? She searched diligently and discovered John 14:6 in the Bible, which stated those exact words. That was when she gave herself to the way and the truth and the life, Jesus Christ. Since then, I started to see how the Lord is working and how he is protecting me, she said. And she needed protection often. In addition to her mother burning her Bibles, her brother assaulted her when she was 18. She had returned home late one night after visiting a Christian in a hospital. Where were you? He demanded. At the hospital. No, you are lying, he retorted. You were at a service. Surprised that her brother even knew the term for a gathering of Jesus followers, she repeated that she had been at the hospital. He grabbed her and smashed her head into a window, berating her with a torrent of words. When her father arrived, she hoped he would intervene. Instead, he began to beat her too. She fled from the kitchen to the bathroom, but her brother dragged her into her bedroom and slapped her in the face. She fainted. When she awoke a few minutes later, her family was wailing in anguish. Her father had just had a stroke. They blamed Amal for causing the stroke and forced her to stay in her room for 2 weeks. They took away her phone and identification and barely fed her. Her health deteriorated. When she fainted a second time, her family took her to the hospital. Suspecting child abuse, medical workers called the police. Amal wanted to tell the police what really had happened, but refused to do so. I wanted to be like a testimony and prove that I am God's daughter, she said. After recovering, Amal moved out and began attending a Bible college. On the day of her graduation, her father picked her up and promptly thrust a newspaper at her. He had seen a story and photograph about her earning a theology degree. Just ask God that your brother won't see the photo, he stated. He did not speak to her again for 2 months. Despite her family's violent response to her faith, Amal had the courage to move back home. She led 3 of her sisters and younger brother, not the one who beat her, to the Lord. Slowly, healing has come to her family. Her parents now accept her faith, even though they don't personally embrace it. Her older brother is married and no longer lives with the family. Still, he threatened her. "I'm just waiting to do something to hurt you," he has warned. Amal leads a group of people in their 20s who have converted from Islam to Christianity. The obstacles she has overcome are testimony to how deeply rooted her faith is. Yes, on one hand, her mother burned those Bibles and her family hurt her deeply. Yet she triumphed in her absolute resolution to replace her Bible every time it was burned and to keep sharing about Jesus. It's painful enough to be opposed by someone we don't know. Imagine how difficult it was for Amal to be scorned and abused by her own family. No wonder she chose Jesus' unconditional love that doesn't ebb and flow based on circumstances. To those who are faithful and courageous, he says, "You are those who have stayed with me in my trials, and I assign to you, as my Father assigned to me, a kingdom, that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom." And that's from Luke 22:28-30. May God strengthen our resolve and that our persecuted family all over the world, and that of our persecuted family all over the world, to keep our eyes fixed on Jesus as we share our hope with those around us who desperately need the Savior who found us. So that's the end of that chapter. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Shalom.